I think.
Got the handlebar mustache, bro.
I don't know. I thought that.
Come on, with the pepino and the mandarini. Let's get going.
So what's up, guys? Here I am with my parents today. Lou Rock TV, Mike Petty, and Mangine Me. Yeah, they all kind of rhyme. All right.
What's up,
So today
kids?
we're going to be talking about 10 myth, legends, and stories in baseball. All right, and we're just going to discuss whether what we think about them, if we think it's true or false, and then we'll discuss it, and I'm gonna talk about some facts that I kind of learned from a certain video by Hum Baby Baseball, where I got the idea from. Okay, guys. So we're gonna start off with the legend about, did Wade Boggs, the Chicken Man, drink 107 beers in one day? Do you believe that to be true?
I got some homies in college that came close, so I would say Wade probably did. I heard some crazy story. He lives in Tampa. He lives in the area, and he talks a lot. And these golf tournaments, he drinks still. So 107, I would say yes. That's a lot.
I'm gonna say true.
What do you think, Mike? 107 beers in one day. And this is not like a whole day either. This was like after a game.
I would say yeah.
Well, what happened to Petty? Did he freeze?
He didn't pay the. You see, he didn't have any money to pay the light bill. All those cards he's getting.
Yep. one Hannes Wagner too many.
What?
All right, guys. So the story goes is Wade Boggs, obviously a great player. 328 lifetime average. Got like 3,000 hits, 3,000 RBIs, Hall of Famer.
Chicken Man.
Traveling on a plane to LA after a game, they were playing blackjack on the plane. And like an hour before the flight was landing, one of the players told him, like, hey, man, you already drank like 50-something beers. That's crazy. He's, we still got an hour. Let's see how many more I drink. And so by the end of the flight, by the time they landed, get Petty back on. He's still gone. On the plane, he drank 73 beers on the flight from Boston to LA. He said he was two-chugging them, like every beer, just two chugs as they're playing. So, yeah, that is pretty insane. All right?
Bro, I'll be asleep. About 10, I'm sleeping. About 10,
Me too.
Right, that's a lot of beer.
Beer always makes me tired.
Yeah.
That's why I drink liquor.
That's just a lot of liquid,
I know.
right? That's a hell lot. How many gallons is that,
I don't think I could drink that many waters.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? But
You know
anyway,
what?
so he drank 73 beers on the plane. And when they landed in LA, they went to a place called the Red Onion in Laguna Beach, where he said he drank 34 more beers, making it a total of 107 beers that day.
Bro, he's a specimen. Like,
I want to know who counts when you're drinking all day and night. Who counts? Why are you counting them?
My math gets worse the more
What
I
happened?
would have lost count.
We got Petty back.
All right, Petty, so do you think, we had him. He's going to go he's going to go fix the aluminum foil on his antenna.
I can't
Petty's
hear ya.
an enigma.
I was trying to get all this footage on the backstage pass, and I don't know. I got cut off. Something happened. So we're talking about Wade Boggs, right?
Yeah, do you believe he drank 107 beers in one
Ain't
day?
no fucking way, dude. That's 10 gallons of beer. I don't
Yeah.
care who
You know
he
what?
is. Or
That's
maybe
crazy.
one sip and throw it away. One sip and throw it away.
Yeah, I heard the same story about Andre the Giant, and people found that hard to believe. And you're talking about a giant man. And now you
Andre the
believe it
Giant,
when Wade Boggs did it?
I wouldn't doubt, because I mean, a beer can like a 12-ounce Coors Light looked like a thimble in his hand.
Yeah, and he was so small in his hand.
and that there definitely was a lot of talk about him.
All right,
But when you see Fernando drink 36 beers in a round of golf,
All right.
know it's possible, but I just don't think that's just too much liquid.
So yeah, I almost
It
find it hard to
doesn't-
believe. I would almost
It
say
doesn't
no.
seem possible without dying.
Yes. Yeah, not for on his side.
And the reason I said yes is because I heard him say he did it.
Yeah. So this is the only myth legend on this list that the person actually confirmed to be true. All right.
Okay.
Interesting.
Still,
I think he's a liar.
Yeah, I almost think like, I still find it too hard to believe.
I think he might be an exaggerator. I won't call him a liar.
Eddie Embellisher.
Like I said, 10, 12.
Okay, guys, we're going to go on to the next one, which is Babe Ruth hit a home run in 1919 spring training, all right, that went 587 feet. Do you guys believe that to be true?
There's a plaque.
Yeah, there's a plaque, but do you believe it actually he hit a ball 587 feet?
Well, I'll let someone else because I know the story of how they measured it.
Yeah.
And
well, I'll answer it. I
Go
say
ahead.
no, because in 1919 they were still playing with the wooden centered dead ball. They didn't switch that till 1920, and there's no way somebody hit a dead ball that far.
That's what I say. As much as I
that's been the biggest argument. That's been the biggest argument is with the equipment that was available back then. The ball wasn't hard enough, and the bats weren't. Now the bats are hardened, and they harden them up, and they tighten them up.
If it was in the 1920s, 1930s, I might buy it. I just don't buy it with the dead ball.
If you have to measure it and ask the right fielder, go to where you thought the ball landed.
Yeah. Okay. And this is one of the things about the tape measure home runs is where the ball landed. StatCast is going to be where the ball hit, not where it rolled and stopped rolling.
Yeah.
And the thing about this is if you guys are unaware with this place, it took place in Plant Field in Tampa, which was an old racetrack. So where he hit it was like in the bushes, in the trees.
Well,
So,
I just have to add that makes it even more unlikely because he's down at sea level.
Exactly.
And that ball's not going to travel at sea level like it would up in the mountains.
That fielder was Ross Young. So they asked Ross Young, who's also a future Hall of Famer, where did the ball land? And my question is how can you see where it landed? He threw all the brush and the trees. How would he be able to see? He just walked and said, "Oh, this is where it landed," and they tape measured it with the surveyor tape. Right. So
I mean, it was probably one hell of a home run. It was probably for back then, maybe nobody ever saw a ball hit that far.
All right, and just for some reference here, so a guy in the modern StatCast, caught by StatCast, like the actual line you see on the computer, the farthest ball ever hit was in 2019, caught by StatCast at 505 feet by Nomar Mazara. Okay.
What about Mantle?
Joey Meyer on video hit a ball 582 feet. So that's recorded on video. You're talking about Joey Meyer, just 5 yards shorter than that. So is it that impossible? And this is on video. It wasn't StatCast. But with the video, you can see exactly where the ball landed, and they measured where the ball landed. So that's.
But the new ball was way different than what he played with in 1919. Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
And was that in the 90s that he did that, Joel Meyer? Or 2000 when about in the 90s?
It was before StatCast.
Before StatCast.
What
so
about
the ball wasn't juiced, was it? But the players were.
He was a AAA guy.
What about the ball Willie Stargell hit in Olympic Stadium? Wasn't that a really long one?
He's got a couple of plaques at Dodger Stadium too. They're like 515 feet.
He hit it out of the
John's
stadium,
always
right?
trying to bring up the height.
Isn't he the only one that hit it out of Dodger Stadium twice?
He has two plaques at Dodger Stadium where his ball landed that are outside of the pavilion on the walls. This is where he has two of them where his ball landed.
Not 500.
All right, so so some of you guys don't believe it, and I kind of don't either, and I find it too hard that guy was accurate about where the ball landed. I don't know how he would have seen where it landed. Okay,
I'd love to see him show you the size of the fish he caught.
Like way Boggs. 107 beers. Come on.
Okay, so Mantle hit one 565 feet. That originally was said to go on 650 feet. All right. So Jackie Robinson was the first person to break the color barrier. Is that true or no?
No.
I don't
No.
think so.
No, it wasn't. He's the first person to break the color barrier after the gentleman's agreement, which was a secret between owners to never sign a black player again. All right. So because after the Civil War, when they signed the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, giving black folks their freedom, they were allowed to do anything. So a couple of people started playing baseball. But in what was that? The gentleman's agreement, they got together a secret and said from now on, nobody signs any more black players. So Jackie Robinson was the first player to play first black player to play baseball after the gentleman's agreement.
Yeah.
But
That
before
went on
that,
a long time then.
Yeah.
but before that, there was Bud Fowler who played in the minors and independent leagues. But the first guy to play to say that he was a black player was Moses Fleetwood Walker, who played for the Toledo Blue Stockings in 1884. And
That's
even his
right.
brother played after him. Okay?
There was another guy played for in college, I think. His name
William
was White.
White.
William White. Some people point
He
to
played
him.
for the Providence Grays, but
Yeah, and
he
there
was half white. He was the son of a plantation owner, so he was able to say. But the thing is that he's kind of like me being Mexican. I hear a lot of Mexican people be mad at Ted Williams because he never said that he was Mexican during his playing days. Same thing with White. He passed himself as a white person so he could play.
Yep. And then there was Claxton too. Claxton has a Z-Nut card. He actually has a Z-Nut card. It goes for a lot of money.
Well, who was the
He didn't
first
play in the
black
pros,
player?
though.
Who was the
He
first
played well.
black player on a baseball card? That might have been
Yeah.
Jackie Robinson, though, right? Or no?
No,
Like,
no. That was
Topps?
Claxton. That
Oh, it was
Z-Nut
Topps.
card.
Oh, okay.
Yep. He played in the
I think Mike just had that.
the Pacific League.
He just added that to his list. He's like, I'm getting
It's a pricey card. You should go after that one, Petty.
Yeah, shit.
What'd you say, a Z-Nut?
It's a
Z-Nut.
Z-Nut, yes.
Yeah.
Claxton is his name.
Hey, Petty, put that on your list right now, bro. That's gonna be your strong bill for 2026, baby.
Get it on your list.
Okay, guys. So the next one is a more modern one. Did Jose Altuve wear a buzzer?
Oh, you should let me take this first.
Yes, please, because I want to just get all riled up.
Yeah. I know that he was wearing a buzzer. There's no fucking doubt about it. It's either that or I don't necessarily think it was a bzz, bzz. I think it was definitely a vibrator. A vibrating, like a little.
In his anus?
No, it was on his shirt. Obviously, you could see it, and then he didn't want it ripped off. And they're cheater fuckers, and that's why he'll never be in the Hall of Fame.
You know they cheated. I mean, they were given immunity, and they admitted to everything. I mean, they cheated.
Once a cheater,
Yeah,
always
but
a cheater.
he got. Yeah, but they got full. What is it called? Full
Immunity. Yeah, they got
immunity.
immunity.
So you can't be found guilty.
Yeah, but they admitted to cheating. They still
and
cheated.
then they said that then MLB came out and said they did the investigation and that nothing was found.
Well,
Yeah,
bullshit.
but then they suspended the managers.
Yeah.
well,
Most ridiculous thing ever.
they had nothing. They couldn't find anything on the investigation, so they promised them blanket immunity, and that's how they got all the dirt. They admitted to everything, but they weren't going to get punished. So they admitted to the crime. They just
didn't admit to a buzzer.
They did, and they really didn't admit that much. I mean, they just wanted to keep moving on.
Everything's not truth.
And I know. I mean, it's one of those things that they
minimize. But the last thing on your mind is your jersey when you hit a walk-off home run. You're not worried about holding, like he's talking about his wife wouldn't like it. Are you kidding
Yeah,
me?
I mean, it's
when they first asked
ridiculous.
him, yeah,
No,
when they
he
first asked him,
he claimed he got that new ugly tattoo and he didn't want it seen.
yeah,
Right.
that's
And
the whole thing.
if you saw it, it was pretty god awful. It,
He's
it,
yeah,
it makes
just-
his story kind of
That's one
believable.
of the things that works against him is so many different answers that he had. His first answer was, "Oh, because I'm shy." Then the second answer was because his wife didn't like it when they took his jersey off the time before. And the third one was, "Oh, because I have a tattoo that I don't like. And I don't want people to see it."
And they say that he cheated the least out of any of the guys because he
Yeah.
didn't like to have the.
That's one of the things when they
call.
the TikTok investigators
Right.
went through every at bat of every Houston player that year, and he had at least trash can noises assisting them during the games. But
Right.
the buzzer came in the playoffs after everybody was on to them about the trash cans, and they couldn't
Exactly.
use that.
Exactly.
Let's get off.
And who knows who else was
Angrier
using them?
and angrier.
All right.
Well, every piece
Okay.
of
The next one is, and Josh Gibson hit over 800 home runs.
Please.
I would say yes. And my reason for that is the records, they really didn't keep records. It's like if you count all the exhibition home runs of Hank Aaron and Ruth, the spring training games, they hit over 800. Gibson was playing 2 games, 3 games, barnstorming. This is how they made a living. The more games, the more money he got paid. I would say yes. And I mean, 800 is not far fetched if you count everything. And who knows? I mean, there's no real record of anything. I don't even know how they came up with that number, to tell you the truth.
Well, if there's no record of anything, how can they give him the all-time batting average? What did they credit him with? How many home runs? 166.
Right.
Yeah,
he's
And,
got
and,
800.
according to the stats, he only struck out 16 times in his entire career,
That's bananas.
including like 4 or 6 years where he had 0 strikeouts.
That's
I mean, it's
crazy.
absurd. They're just making up
I think
shit.
I think it's probably legend.
It's
well,
definitely. You know that happened.
here's my thought. Did he hit over 800 home runs in total? Yes. Okay. But in official games, he hit 166 in 2000 and 168 at bats officially. So what they did was he hit a home run every 13 at bats. And that's how they got like, well, if you include his minor league games, spring training games, barnstorming games, independent league games, then
Little
he hit
league
over
games.
800 if he hit one every 13. That's
Yeah.
how you come up with that.
Hank
No,
Aaron hit
so
that.
I'll believe half of it to be true. I'll give him 400. That's one more than Piazza. That's it. And that'll make him,
Well, see,
the
that's the whole
all-time
thing.
home run hitter. That'll make him
That's
the
the whole
all-time home run
thing.
hitter for a catcher. So
That's the whole thing, Mike, is that they say the same thing. If you include Mark McGuire's, Barry Bonds, Babe Ruth, all their spring training, all their Japan games, they also hit over 800 home runs.
and
But
Ruth
they
would
don't
have hit
count theirs, they
1,500.
only count Josh Gibson's.
Right. Okay.
So
So
is it
I
true?
think
I think it is.
Bob Gibson hit
But it's
more.
unfair because what's the quality of the games with the quality of the pitcher he was facing in barnstorming games and stuff too? You know?
Well, I personally believe they should have left the stats alone because he was legend. He's legendary. You know, he is idolized.
Yeah.
And I think by trying to give these bogus stats, it cheapens it. I think it takes something away from him.
Yeah.
I'd rather have it, have him be the legend he was. Because now people just scrutinize this stuff because it's not believable.
Yeah.
There's no baseball player in history that can only strike out 16 times in his lifetime. And if they don't know how many times he struck out, how the hell are you giving him a batting average?
They're doing estimation.
No, I agree 100%, John.
100%.
It's a no-brainer.
Okay. So here we go, guys. On to the next one, as Jay-Z would say. Shoeless Joe Jackson was he in on throwing the World Series in 1919?
The Jackson.
I mean, I think it's pretty clear he certainly knew about it.
Yeah.
By his play, it doesn't sound like he participated, but he definitely knew about it. I don't know how any player on that team could not have known about it.
Yeah, and I think he was just suspended out of,
Guilt by association.
for reasons
Yeah.
just they were going to suspend them all, not let them all get away with it after they were all acquitted.
From the
And
stuff
it's
I
just
read,
like all of you are out. And there was rumors that he tried to give the money back 2 or 3 times, $5,000 or something. Who knows? And then there's talk that his wife deposited the money in the
Yeah.
bank.
do that.
So-
'Cause he was a
so-
very-
So there's no doubt he knew about it. There's no
Yeah.
doubt. No doubt
So-
in my mind he knew about it.
So the story goes, some of the players were mad that they weren't getting more money. So there were some dirty gamblers who offered 8 players $5K each, including Joe Jackson. But he didn't want to take it. But they told 7 other guys, if he's not in it because he's the best player on the team, we can't make the deal. So he wasn't at any of the meetings where they were agreeing to throw the game or whatever. But there's a lot to said that he didn't go to school, couldn't read or write, he was dumb, but he did not want to do this. But the catcher, whoever, well, no, not the catcher, one of the players, he went to his hotel room trying to convince him to get in on it. And even though Joe refused, the guy just left the money there and walked out.
That's why the
But
wife.
so the wife went, she deposited the
Some
money. Like,
things
hey,
never
we need
change.
the money. She deposited the money. But the thing is, it's been researched, it's been investigated. You look at his play of the World Series, his play will tell you he did not throw the game. He batted 375 with 12 hits. Is that throwing the game?
Well,
Didn't make any errors.
The games that they lost, he only hit about 250.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I thought it was like 270, but still 270. That's why they lost. He wasn't on top of
He
his
wasn't
game.
hitting. He wasn't hitting.
Yeah, you can't hit 300 every game.
I mean, you can't hit 1,000. I mean, that's why they lost.
That's why they lost.
I also read that some of the outfielders, and they said that they were taking their time grounding, fielding the ball.
Yeah, they will play out of way off their position.
Right.
Like,
The one guy I feel bad for is Buck Weaver.
Mhm.
I don't believe he was in on it.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Guilt by association again. You knew
Yeah,
about
but
it.
so
But he
anyway,
wasn't even
you
one of the
got-
players that took the money.
Nobody knew about it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Well,
so
I don't know.
But if people don't know exactly what happened, is they went to court. They went to court for that, and they were found innocent. All 8 of them were found innocent. Okay,
Landis-
so there was no proof that they did it. But the new commissioner,
Right.
he just suspended them from baseball inevitably, anyways, even though they were found not guilty.
Yeah,
They wanted
it
nothing to do with
it was
that.
a different time back then. I mean, sometimes you just kept your mouth shut, even if you weren't in agreement, even if you wanted nothing to do with it.
Decisions.
You just kept your mouth shut. I'm Italian. I know what that's like. You just keep your mouth shut.
Hard
You
thing
know,
to do.
Matt,
I
his
think
whole
Landis
family
was
was
a judge or something. Was Landis like a federal judge before he was commissioner? It was something like that.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, he
Commissioner
certainly
Landis.
went. He certainly came down, extra hard to send a message. But the thing that nobody talks about is that gambling was pretty rampant back then. That was not the first incident, and so he wanted to send a message because it had been going on, and this was like the last straw because it hadn't happened in the World Series before. that
Imagine if
anybody
we
knew
had a
of.
commissioner of baseball cards. We could put a kibosh on some of these breaking houses. That they're doing is just gambling. We could say no more gambling and get them all out of here.
I've said that. I think that was John's. Then you pose a question like, how do we fix the hobby? Some kind of oversight committee is what I always said. Put someone like James Beckett, someone of that type of, cut from the same cloth. Beckett, knowledgeable, super informative, knows the hobby, loves the hobby. Some kind of oversight committee would be good.
Well, here's the thing. It's a hobby, and if you have a committee, I mean, they will have no power. They will have zero power. You can't. This is not. This is not the government. It's not a government entity. What you do is in every industry. I don't care what industry you're in. If it's a real estate industry, the dairy industry, everybody has an organization that protects and promotes the industry. But the card community does not have that kind of a thing.
No, but
Right? There's a real estate association. There's the dairy association, and they help educate people, and they help promote the hobby, or promote their industries, I should say.
No, I agree.
And so, if we were going to do anything, I think maybe an organization to promote the hobby, and to alert people to things that might not be in your best interest, that kind of thing. So it's more like knowledge. Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And
Knowledge,
get that
man.
information out there, and it's up to all the consumers to do with it what they will. This isn't a
Today-
police state.
No, they seem to
Today
like
I
it.
saw-
So.
Yeah, today I saw a post of a flipper who he's one of those guys that goes to the retail stores and buys all the retail and flips it.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, somebody posted that they hate flippers. Everybody's a flipper. There's no such thing as a collector. The collectors are just mad because you're flipping what they wanted to flip." And I started writing, and I was like, and
That's ridiculous.
And it's like, not everybody buys a box just to sell it. Some people actually open it. And
Well,
so I started writing. Then I was like, damn, if he goes back and looks at my videos now, he's gonna see this thing that I just started. But and he could just argue, "Oh, see, you're the same way. You just want to flip them too." But like, my idea is one of these days when I'm sick and dead, in my bed, I want to open these, in my deathbed, or open them later when I'm old. But I was like, he's gonna say, no, flip collectors just buying to flip them later. That was his whole argument. And I was like, this guy's rage baited. I'm not gonna get into it.
The thing is people that don't have any, they don't care about cards, they don't collect, they don't understand. They think everybody else thinks like they do. So to him, he couldn't imagine keeping a card. I mean, that's what he does. He flips them. And so he thinks nobody else, wants to collect them either. We always think that other people are just like us, and that's not always the case.
He needs a collector to buy his flipping product.
Well, I wonder who he's flipping them to if nobody collects cards. That's a good question to ask. Are they just flipping back and forth? Because I call the new hobby the hot potato hobby.
That's
because
exactly
the average lifespan of a card for most people is a half a day. Sometimes they're selling them before they even receive them.
It's music chairs. The last guy without the chairs, the one that's going to get it right in the pooper.
Dude, I see 1952 Topps Mickey Mantles being flipped every single day, multiple of them on Facebook. Mm-hmm. Like, they're just everywhere nowadays. And I just think it's a bunch of people keep buying them and trying to sell them for 5,000 more. Yeah. That kind of thing.
I think they're trying to sell it for like 300 more.
Yeah.
I wonder. I would love to investigate and be able to research and have the time to do it. I bet you there's a few 1952 Topps Mantle cards that have been sold like 100 times in the last 10 years.
Oh, there's no question.
The same card has just been going owner.
I mean, the one I have before I bought it, it changed hands 3 times in a year. Yep. Before I finally got it.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, a guy like you will keep it, but until it finds that home, they just keep hot potato in it.
And you can see it happening right now with a lot of the cards that I'm looking for, specifically that T227 Breakfast of Champions, Series of Champions Ty Cobb.
I thought you were trying to buy a Terminator when you just said the T2.
T227. But I mean, that card there's about 5 or 6 of them. For the last 2 years that I've been looking, they just keep going back and forth. And sometimes they're priced up. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes we'll be at a show out of nowhere. Sometimes we'll be in another auction. But what really gets me is when they buy them out of the auction, and there's no way that they could even have the card yet. And the next day it's on eBay.
Well, now you have the vault, right? You do the vault, you never receive it, right? You send it to them and then sell it from there.
Well, you have to.
The vault for it?
I guess maybe that's what they're doing. They just send it right to the vault, but still, they haven't taken. I mean, I don't even think that the company has their money yet.
Well, hey, that just proves that most people are flipping these cards when they buy them, because why else would you need a vault?
You also
vault, they have it there, they'll sell it for you, or you send the card to PSA, and now they're selling it for you. Yeah. We should talk about the possible ethical consequences of the grading companies selling the cards, and how it's beneficial to them to give them higher grades when you sign up for that service.
Bro, I mean, that's been like that for. I mean, they're charging you.
Well, no, PSA didn't always sell cards. They're now
Oh
selling
no,
cards
yeah, I understand
on
that.
eBay.
Yeah, but the whole ethical thing went out the window when they're doing. Nothing has changed in their grading where between a 6 or a 10, but since they're giving it a 10, we're going to hold your card hostage because now your card is worth more.
Yeah.
So you're not getting your property back because we deemed it more valuable. So I'm like, whatever.
There goes Patty again.
Pay your bill, bro.
I don't know. I find there to be ethical problems with the company that's supposedly, like, if you're going to be that grading company and you're the one everybody goes to certify these things, and you're the one that controls, they control all the price, they control what all of our cards are worth
for the market,
and now you're selling, like, I don't know, there's just that seems bad to me.
Yeah, what's that called? Conflict of interest?
Yeah, it's a big conflict of interest. Somebody that is certifying something is also the seller.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to come to me with a Picasso and I'm going to certify it and then sell it,
well,
I mean, it's in my benefit.
Right?
It's in my best interest to certify it, right?
That was a big thing, right? Like 10 years ago, whatever that guy's name is, it Orlando or something like that? The owner of PSA or CEO found like 90% of his cards always got 10.
Well, of course.
Nat Turner, right? That was his name.
Yeah.
Oh, come on! I mean, we know there's much of it that is scammy. I don't care who gets mad at me. Much of it is scammy, and this is just one more thing that makes people question. It's just not right. The authenticator is the seller. It just seems very odd to me.
I thought they were going to die with the whole Edward.
Mike Petty said that his network is down. All right, so we're going to move on without him. All right, this question is about a movie, okay? And I've actually never watched this movie, but maybe you guys have. Pride of the Yankees.
Oh, Pride of the Yankees?
Yes. Okay, so in the movie, Gary Cooper portrays a left-hander. All right?
Yep.
So, but he can't bat left-handed. So they said that he batted right-handed, and they just flipped the film to make it believable. Do you believe that actually happened in this movie that came out in 1942? Did they have the technology in 1942 to pull this off?
Yeah, I believe it could have happened.
Yeah, they have the technology, just flipping the frame around. But
you just had to flip the film.
Yeah, okay. But people that started investigating said, you know how impossible that is? Because you got to flip every sign in the outfield. You got to flip the logo on the hat. You got to flip the number, the name on the jersey. You got to flip the flap. They said, like, to make everything work in the flip mode was practically impossible. You have to change the label on the bat, flip the label on the bat.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you watched him swing in the movie, he could be swinging left-handed and not bat left-handed. I mean, his swing wasn't realistic. It's like watching Bagger Vance, and you believe with that swing he was hitting the ball past everybody.
So terrible.
That swing was awful.
I could see maybe on some tight shots if he was more natural swinging it from the right. But I mean, it's a movie, and yeah, I saw the movie. It's not like
an action shot too. You might not be able to really see the hat when he's swinging.
Well, in almost every movie, no, because he is facing forward. They're not Ken Griffey like we do nowadays. And do you know why Ken Griffey wore his hat backwards? Why he started wearing his hat backwards?
Yeah, it was his dad's hat. It was too big.
Yeah. His dad had an afro, so his hat was too big. So he said when he wore his dad's hat and he would run because it was so big, it would cover his face. So that's why he started wearing it backwards. Something so simple. You know what I mean?
Started a movement.
But anyways, so they investigated this film, and the movie buffs and TikTok debunkers watched it, and they said no, they actually did bat left-handed. That they never flipped anything in the movie, which was maybe the movie company trying to give themselves too much credit back then. But they were saying that that's what they did, and it's been debunked that did not happen.
Yeah, once you brought up those points, you know they're very valid. You changed my mind.
Yeah, okay, so the next question. Hey, did you pay your bill?
Sorry about that.
What's going on
cheesecake.
there in California?
You know, it's
I-
really crazy. I never get that good internet connection. I just upgraded, so this would happen to like 1 gigabyte. Pay more money for now. I can get cut off during live streams.
Those
1 gigabyte,
windmills
that sounds like
are those
Pokemon.
windmills cutting out on you?
Yeah, shit. Where are we at?
Is there no
I
wind?
lost track.
Probably the Yankees. We're talking about the movie.
Oh, my
So-
favorite. I want to chime in on that.
Okay.
Oh,
talk
so,
about-
real quick. You're the only one that has to answer this now. It was
good.
rumored that it was said that Gary Cooper, he could only bat right-handed. So he was obviously portraying a left-hander. So he couldn't bat left-handed. So the movie company said they did a trick where they just reversed the film.
Yeah.
So he batted right-handed and ran to third. And
Now, I
people
know
are saying
a lot
that seems
about that. I know a
impossible
lot
because
about
you have
this,
to flip. You have to flip the letters on the jersey, the number,
Right.
the hat, the label on the bat, all the advertising in the outfield, whatever people in the crowd are going to pull all this off. Everybody has to be reversed. Everything has to be reversed. Do you
Yeah.
believe they actually did that?
No, I believe though that they did do some flipping of the film though. There was
Only
a
one
study.
shot, actually.
Yeah, there
Only
was a
one
study.
shot, and that was a throwing shot. And
Right, but any of the other video evidence that they had, and remember when they did those films, they were only designed to be seen 1 or 2 times. You know, you would never notice it. But as they went back and looked at it, I think there was absolutely no evidence of when he was batting, and when he was swinging. If you look, he looked really bad swinging left-handed. He never really made contact with the ball anyway. And when they did, it was Babe Herman, I think. Is that right?
yeah, it was
Dave Herman.
Babe Herman did the
stunt double.
body doubles, stunt double. Now, and I think there was one scene that they said was all of 10 seconds where they did reverse it, him throwing, because he
Yeah.
couldn't throw left-handed. So they had him throwing right-handed, almost like they did the coach. The coach, how they showed him, he was a right-handed coach, but then they showed him throwing left-handed too.
So was his hat
they-
backwards then? Was the NY?
He was wearing an H on his hat. I think it was from like when he was with Hartford, so you couldn't tell.
Oh,
And they
yeah, you
also
wouldn't
had
be able
him,
to tell.
they also had him in a sweat jacket where there
Okay.
was no Yankees or New York across it or anything. And then the way they did it, you know, that was all filmed at Wrigley Field here in Los Angeles, where the home of the Angels played back in the
Yeah.
60s. And they did do a lot of like really unique things with the film, how they had half a shot. And then the other half was like the facade on top from Yankee Stadium and Kaminsky Stadium. So they kind of like cut that in.
Yeah.
But
I kind of mentioned that earlier, how the filmmakers try to give themselves too much credit by saying they flipped it and did all this impossible stuff. But
Mhm.
if you watch the movie for its time, it had so many new innovations. It would have been better if they would have thrown that in and got credit for everything instead of being, oh, we cut them on one lie now. You know what I mean?
Right.
It kind of ruins the legend of everything else that they
and
did.
the realism of you know, playing at Yankee Stadium when they really weren't, when they were here at Wrigley, and you know, to make the stadium look.
Oh, you mean like
right.
a Naked Gun? Like a Naked
Yeah.
Gun where they were playing at Dodger Stadium and they said it was Angel Stadium?
Right, exactly. So they do that all the time, obviously.
Okay, so
Invest in modern. I see you, Phil. Philington. The chat.
all right, so the next question is, did Edward Doubleday invent baseball?
No, absolutely not.
The origins of baseball is just so messed up.
Yeah,
Abner
that's
Doubleday
probably
probably
not.
wasn't even alive when baseball was invented.
Didn't they take baseball from like different sports, like cricket? and stuff
Okay,
like that?
yes.
They discovered an ad, not an ad, a newspaper article in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, and it was from something like the late 1700s, like 1791, I want to say, and they had enacted a law that prevented kids from playing baseball at night. And so there is actual newspaper evidence that the game was around long before Doubleday was supposedly inventing it, not to mention there's no record of him ever being anywhere remotely close to Cooperstown. where he supposedly invented it.
What was that news article about the kids playing?
Pittsfield, Massachusetts. I want to say 1791.
They
Somewhere in
should
there.
move the Hall of Fame to Massachusetts.
They
No.
should, but they already have the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Oh, okay.
I would love to see that. I want to look that up. That's cool. 1791.
Look it up.
Yeah.
But
Well,
they
I
say
believe you,
there's a
bro.
lot
If you'd
of
watch
people-
my videos, you'd know this. I did a short on it.
When?
Who
A
can
short
watch
is
all
not
your
video,
videos?
bro. The shorts don't pop up on my TV.
They do on mine.
Really? I don't see shorts on my TV.
Oh.
Go to a video, to a video, to a video.
Right.
So if you watch basketball, everybody's wearing pants.
In my defense, I watch at least 5 of your videos a day. I can't keep up with 7 or 8. I can't keep up with 7 videos. I do my
Today's
best
was
to
I'm just joking around.
You're my
Behind the
homie. I
scenes,
try,
that was
bro.
the
I wouldn't watch my videos either.
I work 12-hour shifts. I mean, 4 videos in a day is tops for me.
I'm gonna have a great one coming out featuring Mr. Petty here. I can't wait to release
Who
it.
knows? There might be
I'm editing
talk
it
of
now.
We're in contract talks right now after I saw the first one come out. It was
NIL
great.
deals. NIL.
All right, guys. So I'm gonna throw out a few facts that I learned about this. All right. So it was for a long time said that Abner Doubleday invented baseball, and that started to become a fact when A.G. Spalding formed a commission to prove that baseball was an American sport that had nothing to do with any other countries. Okay, because it was always said, there was an article that came out in the newspaper that baseball was formed as a game from rounders and cricket, and they kind of took pieces from each game to make up the baseball game. And he wanted to prove that wrong. So A.G. Spalding in 1907 formed a commission to prove it was an American sport. And obviously his commission that he wanted to prove that it was an American sport came out saying, yes, indeed, it was an American sport. It had nothing to do with cricket or rounders.
It was a big publicity stunt.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
just like the Warren Commission.
yeah, and so and just one of those things.
They have
is
the
like,
answer before they even investigate.
Yeah, exactly. And so the person they gave the most credit to, which to them was a credible source, was this guy named Abner Graves, who they said his whole life he was a man of his word and would never lie. So he testified that Abner Doubleday did indeed invent baseball, and that was their source to prove that it was an American sport, had nothing to do with anybody else, and that Doubleday, a general, who was a Civil War hero, a military hero, did indeed invent baseball. Okay, and so, but when Doubleday died, and they went through all his papers that he wrote, articles, his obituary, no mention of baseball at all. He never played baseball, but this commission gave him all the credit because Abner Graves testified to that. Okay, so who is Abner Graves? Well, after this, he shot his wife and is committed to a mental institution. But
Perfect.
he is the main reason why Abner Doubleday was credited with inventing baseball.
Now, there was one general that invented something. Do you know what it was? One
General
Civil War
Patton,
general
he
invented
invented
something.
General Custer built that house in Step Brothers.
Now, do you know, Mike?
I don't know. I thought it was General Patton invented the tank.
General Burns.
Oh,
He wore
General
this.
Cornrow Wallace.
He had hair that came down here, and that's where we get the term sideburns.
I thought it was mutton chops. He invented the mutton chops. Oh, you have
Now the sideburns were named after him.
I have sideburns.
I can get some.
You guys were very
No,
handsome. I wish I had them.
anyways, and later on,
That's true,
they
Dan.
invented some. They asked some historians to dig deeper into this, and they ended up debunking it and gave a lot more credit to Alexander Cartwright as to kind of making the early rules to baseball. But basically, he did take rounders and cricket and modernized it to become baseball. But obviously, after Cartwright, there was a lot more baseball rules that came in play to make modern baseball. because
I
it's
want to
been
tell
an
you
evolving
something.
sport. It was an evolving
We
sport.
we will never know who invented baseball. We will never know.
It's crazy
Because
I
because
mean,
there's no such thing.
it was around
There
a
is no
long
such
time
thing
ago.
as a first baseball game. It's
Right.
changed over time.
You can point to people who may have changed the rules or adapted it, but I don't think we'll ever know.
yeah,
I don't think we'll ever know.
it's so funny because you love baseball. I love baseball for the history and the stats and the record keeping, and no one really knows the origin of baseball. It's funny.
That's because it's so damn old, and it started probably, you know how pickleball started, and now they have tournaments on
Oh, it drives
ESPN.
me crazy.
I mean, somebody started it in their
Bro.
backyard. A family started that and named it after their dog,
Yeah.
and now it's on ESPN. So that's in the modern era, though. We can trace that, but imagine in the 1700s, somebody inventing this game, and it just kind of grew here and there, and you didn't have
And I'll
national
tell you what.
TV.
I'll tell you what. Pickleball has been around since I was a teenager. They had pickleball courts at Venice Beach since I was a teenager. It's just now getting very popular.
It was called squash, wasn't it? We'd hit the ball.
Yeah,
with the little
right?
Squash.
Yeah, it just had a different
No,
name. Now
no,
it's been
no,
marketed
no,
different.
no. Squash is totally different than
Yeah, but then we
pickleball.
played it that way, like
It's just
pickleball.
like
Though. We didn't know
baseball
the
with bounders
rules.
and cricket. Everyone takes a little bit of everything. It's like
Pickleball
basketball.
is
Don't you
like
know
a
basketball?
combination of ping pong and tennis.
That's a great baseball movie, basketball.
Except for you
Oh,
can't
that was
step in
awful.
the kitchen.
That's
so
one of the
bad.
dumbest movies ever made.
Well, in the chat was like, name your top 10 baseball movies. It just came to me basically because you take a little bit from everything. That was so bad.
So
That's
bad.
hilarious.
All right, guys. Yeah. If you could dodge a wrench, you can hit a. You can dodge a
Well,
blow.
Dodgeball, that was a good movie.
Dodgeball was
different.
good. No one makes me bleed my own blood.
All right, guys. The next one is: are you guys all familiar with the red seat on Fenway Park?
Hold on, say that
Oh.
again.
The Red
Are you guys familiar with the red seat in Fenway Park?
The Spencer
Yes.
Spencer crushed it.
It has been said that Ted Williams hit a ball that hit that seat 502 feet away.
Yes.
All right. So
Facts.
there's a lot of proof that goes towards this, but modern day players like Big Papi say because he can't do it, there's no way it ever happened. Okay. But did it happen? Do you guys believe Ted Williams hit a ball 502 feet and there's a red seat in Fenway Park painted red where the ball landed?
I believe it.
I believe it too.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Plus, I mean,
So-
Ted Williams had a big swing, and there's talk of the wind that day was blowing out, and
Yeah.
they also didn't have the big club box above there, so
Yeah.
the wind was really howling
Exactly.
through.
Exactly.
And 500 feet for a guy like that is probably not out of the question.
But the proof was a fan got hurt. And he was sitting
Yeah,
there.
he got hit in the head, right, or something like that. In the
Okay,
hat.
yeah.
But
There was
there's
this
only
guy-
a little hole. How do you get a hole in your hat?
Yeah.
As
No.
big as
Well,
a marble.
Oh, yeah.
there was a guy. There was a guy, Joseph A.
Oh, yeah.
There was a guy, Joseph A. Boucher, who got hit in the head, and he actually went to the hospital, and he got a hole in his hat. And when they asked him, "What ticket did you have?" He had ticket for section 42, row 37, seat 21. So that's the seat they painted red because that was the ticket that he had, and he said that that's where he was sitting when he got hit. So all these are facts. He had that ticket, but was he really sitting at the seat when he got hit? I don't know.
Let me pose this to you guys. What if another baseball came from the grassy knoll?
Right?
They were coming from everywhere.
Oswald hit that ball.
But I hope that has in the Hall of Fame, by the way. But just to show you the time, how do you get a hole in your hat? Was it like a? I just know
It was a
it's
straw.
straw.
It was a straw hat.
It was a straw. It was like one of those straw hats that people wear on the field for the sun. So it's tight on your head, and then it's above your head. It's not a baseball hat like this. You know what I mean? It's tall. It's more like
those seams
It was more like
coming
this.
across it.
it was more like this. So the hole is on top of here.
That's a dope hat. Dude.
It looks like
Okay.
that one got hit in the head
No
too
way I had that.
with a bat.
All right. Okay. Yeah. But like Mike Petty said earlier, Science has said it was possible because what science says, they went back to the date that he hit it. It was a super windy day. And back then, the press box that's huge behind home plate was not there. So it's very, very possible that all he had to do was hit a ball like about 450 feet, and the wind and the stream without that press box, and science proving that on that day, the wind measurements, it would have carried the ball 80 to another 100 feet.
Yeah, I'll tell
Right,
you,
so
you know, he had such a pure swing and made such great contact all the time. And sometimes your timing's just so on. I remember I was playing softball one time, and the farthest ball I ever hit, I was trying to just hit a single into the gap. And I swung so easily, like just trying to hit a single, but my timing must have I don't know how the ball went as far as it did. It still blows my mind to this day. But it was the farthest ball I ever hit. I guess my timing was just on.
You see Vladimir Guerrero Sr. sometimes like reach for a ball, like not a great swing, and it goes boom, gone.
Yeah.
And it's such a unorthodox swing and location of the pitch, but it's gone.
How about Kurt Gibson's homer in the '88 World Series?
Yeah,
on one foot when he just stabbed at it outside and he hit it up halfway. You know, I mean, you never know.
But Ted Williams, you know, he just made such clean contact, and if his timing's right, he could easily hit a ball that far.
He could. I agree.
Facts.
And
especially in the wind.
Like I said, yeah, science says that all he had to do was hit a ball 450 feet, and the wind and the press box not being there would have carried it another 80 to 100 feet. So that's what happened.
It probably went 600 feet.
No, it wasn't 600 feet. It was exactly 502 feet.
We're going to say true to that one.
True.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
Okay, guys, we're gone to the last one. Okay, guys? The last one. I know some of you guys got to go. Babe Ruth called shot at Wrigley Field on October 1st, 1932. Did that really happen?
I want to say yes.
I want it to be true, but I don't think it is.
It's just one of the best stories.
I'll tell you, I think it's more true than his jersey being photo matched for $12 million on Heritage last year.
But I'll agree with you on that one.
But with the pointing, it was kind of unlikely.
Well, there's video or footage.
Something happened that day with the pointing for sure. He did hit a home run.
He was
pointing to the outfield, like he said. He came out and said it to make it a legend too. You know, 5 years later after the fact.
Yeah, exactly. For those of you who do not know, Babe Ruth denied that he pointed for 5 years. He denied that was true. Later on, he said, "Oh yeah, I totally did that."
Too.
And didn't he say, "And the good Lord must have been with me that day"?
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, you do a good impersonation of him.
Here's one thing I'm gonna say. From that video that I saw, like asking about it, and all the things that they talked about for that video, for that moment, the reason how I heard it when I was a kid never came up. And I want to ask you guys if you guys heard this thing when you guys were younger. Because when I was a kid and I read about it, what I had read is that he was at a hospital with a little kid who was dying. And the kid told him to hit a home run for him. And he told him he was going to hit a home run for him. So he went up to bat, that he pointed and said, like, "I'm going to hit this home run for you, kid." And he hit the home run. But I have never heard that story again.
Well, I've heard the story of him promising a kid a home run.
He promised.
I don't remember it being. I don't remember it being in the World Series.
He promised little Johnny to hit a home run, and then Lou Gehrig said he was going to hit 2 homers or something like that.
Right. That's the story I had heard as a kid. That's the story I had read. That's the way.
And then the story with John Goodman, you know, when he played the Babe in the movie The Babe, you know, the legend was he threw strike 1 and he held out a finger, strike 1. He held out another one, strike 2, and then he pointed to center field. There's, you know, They do show. I'm surprised they came up with that
That
film though from back then, because that was only unearthed about maybe 15, 20 years ago.
Because in the
The
footage,
film
you
of
can't
Well,
show
for me, it's kind of like going back to Josh Gibson. I mean,
Mhm.
just keep it a legend.
Yeah,
Just keep it a legend. We're never going to know, and it's an awesome legend.
I'd like
it's the
to think
best
he
one.
did it. I'd also like to think that Santa Claus is coming to town.
All right, so I'm gonna tell you guys like the kind of the facts that I dug up. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
So at the beginning of the game during BP, people in the crowd were throwing objects at Babe Ruth and at his wife in the stand. You know, like they were being real disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
So in the first inning, he hit a home run, and then he came up to bat again in the fifth inning, and he got a strike. And he pointed at the Chicago Cubs dugout and said, "Okay, that's one strike." Then he got two balls thrown at him, and then the next pitch was a strike. So then he looked at the pitcher after he had two strikes, and he said, "I have one more strike." And so since he's looking at the pitcher telling him that, that's what everybody said, oh, that's him pointing at center field. So that's what you see in the video. And then he hit a home run. So the next day, one writer, one columnist out of all the paper writers that were there, the whole press, only one guy said Babe Ruth pointed at where he was going to hit the ball, and he hit a home run where he said he was going to hit it. The called shot. And then after that, the legend that he called the called shot was born. So
I like that story.
when they asked him about it, he said, "No, I would never do that. If I ever did that, they would throw at me. You don't do that in the game of baseball." He denied it for 5 years. He just said, like, "No, I told them I got one more strike, and then I hit that last strike, out of the field." So that's
The
makes sense
at everybody now.
time.
Let's just keep it legend.
I like the legend. Called shot there. Looks good in the movies too.
Legend is usually way better than the truth.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Of his wife.
Truth is
I mean, that's
stranger
what's
than
fun about
fiction.
collecting vintage that I always say is, we got to see Aaron Judge drop a ball in the World Series.
Oh,
We got to see Juan
That
Soto,
was fun.
throw a ball that, my mother could throw harder. But these guys in the past, all we know is their good times.
Yeah.
We didn't get to see them screw up. We didn't get to see their bad games.
We didn't get to see
Modern
Jose
players, you
Canseco
get to
take
see
one
all
off
the
the
screw
head.
ups.
See Mantle
For a homer.
67. He's drunk in that picture.
Yeah, but you didn't. We didn't get to see this stuff. So they're legends to us. They're
Yeah.
all on a pedestal. We
That's
didn't
what
get to
I-
see
no.
their flaws.
I've said that many times. Is like, I don't really like when people say like, "Oh, Kobe Bryant is a legend." It's like, he's not a legend because you can see everything he did in person.
Yeah. You can't be a legend if
Oh,
everybody could watch you all the time.
What about
Yeah,
Will
you have to
Chamberlain?
be
There's
a
no
legend.
video,
Yeah,
of
if it can't
Chamberlain
be
scoring
proven.
100 points.
Yeah, which is insane. Even that's not that long ago if you think about it. But
60, was it 61?
but I think he is legend because we don't have that film on him.
Uh-huh.
You just have these stories, and they're not always going to be true. Everything you hear, but it's
Well-
better. It might be better that way.
Well, I agree, because let's just cut to the chase here. Embellishments are fun. It's fun to make up shit.
Yeah. Yeah, always, right? And have people trying to prove you wrong, but they can't.
Right.
Does
It's like your pitching legend there, Pepino.
Does that mean
Hey,
there's
like-
so many videos you can't
So
make?
when we interviewed Eddie Watt, he said he witnessed him throw that hard.
Yeah,
He said he
and-
definitely threw that hard.
Yeah, and science has proven that it was possible. It's the same thing. Nolan Ryan, he was always
Eddie Watt,
clocked like in the 90s, but they said, well, when they were being clocked back in 1980 and 90, they were being clocked the ball crossing the plate. But nowadays pitchers are
Right.
clocked with the ball coming out of their hand.
coming out of
Which
the hand, right?
obviously the ball gets slower by the time it gets to the plate.
Well, then
And
it
they
was Bob
couldn't even
Feller.
clock back in the
Bob
70s,
Feller,
right? They weren't even
clocked
clocking in
Bob
the early
Feller
days.
with a motorcycle.
Ryan. Yeah, they clocked Feller with the motorcycle. They clocked Walter Johnson with just basically using
Yeah,
calculations.
and my legendary Eddie, Dukowski, when they asked him, how did you learn to throw that hard? How, he says, you can't be taught to throw that hard. You're just born that way.
Yeah, so Eddie Watts said that, they were going to bring him up, and he was real wild. And he just couldn't get it under control. So he ended up never coming up. And I guess he drank a lot. But he said that he threw that hard. That's no.
Oh, he came up, but then threw
according to him, it's not legend. It's not exaggerated.
Yeah.
But they had that documentary. It was called what was it called? Fastball, I think it was called. Fastball. And they calculated all the pitchers using different analysis over the years, and like when they first clocked Walter Johnson, he was. You guys got to
go, New Rock and Mike. You guys got to go, right? You guys have something else to do right now?
Well, we're in an hour here. I don't need to. The show's over. We don't have any more myths to debunk.
Yeah, we can wrap up. But
are we going to talk about the moon landing next?
Oh yeah, let's talk about that. What is the Blue Origin? Do you think those ladies crossed outer space?
Yeah, are they astronauts now?
2 days of training.
And she's an astronaut.
Well, I just want to know if you guys want to go. I mean, I could keep talking. I want to keep talking. But in respect to you guys, I know you guys said you guys have other life things you guys got to do.
I have to wrap it up, Pepino.
Yeah, it's late.
Yeah, and that's fine, man. This was awesome. This was great. It worked out perfectly, dude.
I think it was a good conversation.
Cut off 2 times.
Hey, but before we go, Petty, I got to hear that Babe Ruth impersonation again. That was awesome.
Let me tell you. I used to eat a lot of hot dogs, and they were always eating my straw hat.
Oh, he froze. Oh, there you go. Call shot, baby.
I love watching those old Babe Ruth movies where he teaches kids or women how to bat.
Yeah. And, I mean, he was in the Pride of the Yankees. The other thing we didn't talk about.
Oh, man, Genie's toys. I'm talking like man, Genie played as a kid.
Babe Ruth played himself in the Pride of the Yankees. And he was like 270 pounds when they started shooting that. And he lost like 50 pounds in like 3 weeks or something. And he got really sick. So he could look trim in his, his uniform and as they were traveling. And he got sick and ended up in the hospital with pneumonia. Damn, he almost died.
50 pounds? Was he eating meth burritos?
Let me show you this awesome spring training. This was when he was disputing his contract before he signed in spring training. Yeah,
he threatened to quit to retire baseball and become a boxer, and didn't give him a
damn. Look at how he was such a specimen there.
He could have been a boxer, I think. He was a big boy.
Yeah. I have a couple of Babe Ruth
and
cards.
He had a great signature, dude. I always can't get over how beautiful these old guy signatures were, man.
And he signed everything, man. He signed everything.
People took pride in their name.
I mean, what are we going to do with the signatures nowadays?
Yeah, but in all fairness, people don't learn cursive writing anymore.
My kids know how to write cursive.
Yeah, but I mean, for the most part, they don't teach it in school anymore.
I do cursive writing all the time when I write my congressman. I curse this and I curse that.
In printing.
All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up.
All right, good enough. Man. Well, it's good seeing you.
Great conversation. Thanks, Pepino, for having me on.
Pep.
All right, thank you, guys. Love my hobby. Keep collecting baseball cards.
Mike.
Ever, I said.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to 4 Collectors.